So for 30 more days, does that mean you're moving soon?
Yeah, I'll be back in New York. Did I tell you I had surgery recently?
No.
Can't tell who all can hear this, but yeah, I had surgery a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Um, so I have to can't fly for about 3 months, and so I'll be crossing that mark in about 2 weeks. So I'm all
Okay.
good now. But I was in San Diego before that because this is where I'm from, and it was cold in the East Coast, and it was nicer to be there.
Yep, I get it. I did the opposite. I went to Maine for the winter and then moved back down to Charlotte, which is where I am right now for the summer, which
Mm.
is just perfect temperature timing. Go for the cold and go back for the
But
overly hot.
I would imagine if you're like my other friend from Maine that you do like the cold.
Yeah, I do. But it's the opposite of a snowbird, I think, is what I've done.
Yeah. Nice.
I think we have
Let's
some
see.
friends joining us.
What's that?
I think we have some friends joining us.
Yes, I think we do, which is great. 31. It looks like we have 300 million people tuning in.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, all of America and beyond. Nice. See some great friends joining. Hi, Mashari. Okay. So, Nick, why don't we aim to start right now?
Let's do it.
Nice. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're really excited for this conversation, and it's from the preparation Nick and I have done. There's a lot of exciting and interesting tidbits that I think will resonate with this group, and hopefully, we all learn something. But on that note, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Vasu. I'm the CEO and co-founder here at Maestro. I've been working on this a long time. Nick was one of our first 3 customers at his prior role at Harry's. So I've known Nick for maybe 5 years now, which is amazing to see how Nick has grown on his career and personally and professionally, which we'll talk about today. But yeah, so really excited to have this conversation. A long time coming. So on that note, Nick, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Vasu. So I'm Nick. I'm the director of customer happiness right now at Bombas. And Vasu and I met when I was working at Harry's. It's actually funny because I think it's 5 offices ago. Just if anyone here is in the startup life, the office moves are pretty regular. But I remember Vasu and I met at Avenue of America's 5 offices ago. And previously to my role at Bombas, I have worked in a few different roles across Harry's. I was a frontline agent to start, and then I spent most of my time at Harry's building our quality assurance programming. And how do you define best in class quality? And that's really where Vasu and I connected and started to think really deeply about how the customer experience is improved through quality. That's me.
Yes, thank you for that intro. And yes, remember that that office in Harry's is a beautiful one when that was a thing.
Yeah. It got
And,
small pretty quick though, when you fit a lot of people in there.
yeah, well, and yeah, a great culture there at Harry's as well. Very
Yeah.
collaborative based on how that office was designed.
Yeah.
The and could you introduce to the audience a little bit about Bombas? Hopefully, some people are wearing some Bombas socks, but why don't you tell the company or the group about that?
Yeah, 100%. I hope everyone is wearing Bombas socks. I hope everyone looks into Bombas underwear and apparel. So Bombas is a comfort focused sock and apparel brand with a mission to help those in need. Started in 2013, it was founded because the number one requested clothing item in any homeless shelter is socks. Number two, underwear. Number three, shirts. So for every item purchased on bombas.com, we donate a specially designed item to someone in need. And that's what the overall company approach is, down to the customer happiness team, which is the team that I'm the director of right now, is something called the happiness guarantee, which is essentially we will take care of you. We believe in problem solving. We believe that no problem is unsolvable. We love to surprise and delight. And we just anticipate just any sort of problem that might be happening. And this extends past our customer happiness team. The happiness really guarantee really goes throughout the whole org. So from the time a SOC is designed through supply chain to any sort of customer journey that interacts with us.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. I think, have you had a chance? I guess, will you have a chance to go visit some of the homeless shelters you donate to?
Yeah, so Bombas, it really truly lives its values. In my experience, there is a lot of social mission giving opportunities throughout the calendar. It's been really difficult this last year, but I do actually have some specially designed socks in the back of my car right now, where if I have a chance to meet and have a conversation with someone that might be in need of those, that will be an opportunity for me.
That's awesome. Well, definitely when you're back in New York, that they're more likely. I'm assuming in Maine. Is there opportunities in Maine for this?
Yeah, there's opportunities around, but as a team, we like to get together as a team. I know a lot of people out there might say like to get to know someone, breaking bread is a good way to get to know someone. I've always been a fan, coming from a service-minded background where I work for a couple different nonprofits and everything. I've always been a fan of like doing service together is really a great way to get to know your peers and give back to the community.
Absolutely. I haven't thought of it that way, but I definitely agree with that. I think, just to close the loop on introducing the audience to Bombas, I love that story you told me about, with the dogs or something and chewing up socks. Can you just tell the group, how the happiness guarantees through that fun little anecdote?
Yeah, this is cool. So the happiness guarantee is kind of the overarching umbrella of like the philosophy that we're approaching and guaranteeing to our customers that they will leave with happiness. And there's a bunch of different iterations of that throughout the Bombas life cycle if you're a customer. So there's one that's the growth spurt happiness guarantee. If you buy a pair of socks for your kid grows, we'll replace a new pair of socks. There's the laundry machine guarantee. Everyone's had this happened. Pair of socks stolen by the laundry machine. Usually the dryer, I found,
Yeah.
you're missing one, we'll replace it, guarantee. And then I think you were just referring to the dog friendly guarantee, which is my favorite. And the reason why is every once in a while a dog might chew on a pair of socks. And if you reach out to us, we will 100% replace that pair of socks. But because we're big fans of dogs, we'll ask for a picture of the guilty party. And there's a Slack channel running in the background of my day that just has a bunch of really adorable, cute looking, guilty dogs with chewed up Bomba socks if customers are willing to return the picture of their pup.
Wow, I love that. I mean, and for anyone who isn't convinced already, you should try and get a pair of Bombas socks, because it's an awesome brand. They are so comfy, and you can tell that they have amazing set of mission and values. So, all right, we got a little bit of that intro,
Yep.
and Bombs is amazing. The goal of today's conversation is to walk through Nick's journey of how he went from an agent to a quality professional to becoming a director of happiness. An amazing title, by the way. And what are the learnings and that we along the way that we want to share with the group? So that's going to be the focus of today's conversation. But now that you're oriented with both myself and him, so Nick, on that thread, could you tell us a little bit more about the a journey from going agent to director, and in particular, how is how has the experience starting as an agent shaped where you are today? That unique point of view.
Yeah, I would say so. I think this is common in an agent or associate level moving into this quality assurance function. I think it is common where everyone looks around and decides, hey, we're growing, or we just need to establish a little bit more professional standards around what we consider best in class. And usually you might tap someone on the team that seems to be doing a pretty good job with that in that agent role. Maybe they're efficient, maybe they take a lot of pride in the work and the conversations they're having with customers, and they want to share that experience with other teammates around. So if you look at Eric, who's our quality assurance professional on the Bombas team, or myself a couple of years ago when I was in QA, that's kind of why we fell into this role. We were tapped in by other people who hopefully made the smart decision. And then the second part of your question was around why that agent perspective is really important for quality. And it's just like the closer you are to the customer conversation, I believe the more experienced you'll be with setting a standard for what could be a quality interaction. So where from a top down or from outside in perspective, it might be something along the lines of make sure that you're saying, hello, welcome to Bombas. From an agent perspective, that part isn't as important as hello or hi, my name's Nick, welcome to Bombas, or something like that. So you're establishing a personal recommendation. Again, I think there's a lot of experience oriented um, perspective driven into a quality experience.
Yeah, I think that's from our conversations and for the audience, like so many folks who are in quality roles today, they started as folks speaking to customers directly. And that's such a valuable insight that should be tapped into as you grow. And we'll talk later about how that influences Nick's leadership approach. Um, but it can easily be overlooked by numbers and metrics, which are also important. And so, Nick, you used this great example of like um, how you can look at a pie chart of most common reasons and look at the most common tags and how the devil's in the details much be more beyond just the reporting you can get out of a solution. Could you speak to what you're referring to there in more detail?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you are running your customer experience operation as an operational professional or a director or supervisor or anyone, you're probably looking at a pretty regular pie chart of the distribution of types of contacts that might be coming in. Maybe you have a root cause, a tag, insights, disposition, sentiment, whatever it is. And you're probably thinking, how do I look at that biggest pie chart and maybe reduce it or maybe make that a better experience or everything along those lines? I think the quality assurance professional on your team will be the first one to be able to walk you through the journey that one individual customer in that big pie chart is going through. I think that's what makes this so valuable, because if someone can walk you through step A all the way to Z, you really have a really good understanding of that journey compared to just looking at a top line down bird's eye view numbers.
Mhm. And I think you also, both the quality professional can walk an individual through that journey. You were also talking a little bit about how that one big section of the pie chart also is so nuanced within it too. Can you elaborate on the importance of recognizing those nuances and how it actually would change the types of decisions you make?
Yeah, and this is from when I used to audit tickets. I think at my full capacity, I was at 20 hours a week that I had allocated for auditing tickets, which was quite a lot. And then what you do in this experience, and everyone here probably has this experience, you have the same quote, same type of contact that's coming in from a customer. Hey, these socks, they don't fit me. I'd like to try the next size up. That is the same contact, and you might have that multiple times throughout the day. But from a quality assurance perspective, you're hearing different customers' levels of frustration, different customers' preferences for how it's resolved, and you're hearing different agents' professional responses to that. So you might identify, and I guarantee everyone here, if you go to your QA professional, you go, hey, who's really great at dealing with the sock being the wrong size issue? They'll throw out some names on your team.
Mhm.
Chris is really good at this. And you'll be like, what? How can someone be so strong at something that where everyone is dealing with multiple times a day, but the QA individual knows this on your team, and it might be as simply as they are anticipating the resolution or they're using a certain positive position phrase that really leaves the customer feeling like it was not a very high effort experience or whatever it is. So in that individual pie chart, I would say there are multiple different ways that a customer can approach it and that someone might respond to it. And the QA analyst knows on your team what those are.
And I think what I take away from that is it's so easy to look at that report and be like, okay, all of these are sucks. And if you don't really get into the weeds of the conversations, it all looks the same. You might slap on a one size fits all process to reduce it. But through your experience as a quality professional before becoming this director, you have a much more you understand that that part of the pie chart has lots of like mountains and valleys and curves and heterogeneity within it, that you do need to take a more thoughtful, nuanced approach on how to go create a better experience. Because yes, it's all one part of the pie chart, but there's so much differences a customer comes into that conversation with, how an employee can speak to that customer. Um, would
Yeah,
you yeah, agree that impacts your perspective now in this leadership point of view?
100%. And I would add to that is you're from a quality perspective, you're also not viewing all of those contacts as problems.
Mhm.
So it changes the mindset from like this is a risk mitigation, or this is something that we need to remove from the conversation. Bombas is super great at this. Bombas really does approach when someone contacts us, it is an opportunity. It's like we are grateful for the opportunity that someone has reached out to us, because now we get to fix whatever needs to be fixed if something needs to be fixed, but also just establish a stronger relationship with this customer. A quality assurance professional will 100% have experienced that same type of contact come in, and the results being a customer with a higher lifetime value, a customer that has better word of mouth, repurchase intent, all of that good stuff that everyone on the digital product team or whatever other team really, really values. So instead of looking at CX as an operation that might be a cost center or something that you can, reduce the percentage of revenue or whatever metric you want to think at, a QA will probably have some perspective of, hey, is there some innovation that we can do within some, not all of these, but some of these contacts that does improve our bottom line and improve our business and our relationship with our customers.
Yeah, and I think to tie that point really quickly to the audience, and then circling back with a follow-up question, for the folks in this room, one of Maestro and our core beliefs is that the richest insights on your customer experience lives in those conversations. For the folks who are listening, who care a lot, we obviously care a lot about quality, spend a lot of time really listening or reading these interactions. You have this incredible golden insight and perspective that a leader, if you're not in a leadership role already or aspire to be in a leadership role in the future, um, can communicate internally all the nuances and devils in the details. And it's something that Nick fortunately has seen from not only working directly with customers, then evaluating and reading conversations across so many people, seeing such variance in how things are handled. Um, that then has empowered him to lead the Bombas happiness team with a whole new perspective that has this opportunity mindset front and center. Anything
Yeah.
you want to add to that, Nick?
No, I mean, I just think um, telling the story, telling the voice of the customer should always have the quality professional involved, because and usually have the actual voice of the customer. I would never pass along something that I'm hoping to explain to execs or whatever on the team without actually having someone distill that number into what the experience is.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, no one knows what the root cause, which is like 4 different words put together, or one tag actually means,
Yeah.
as much as your frontline agents and the quality analyst. And I would say sometimes the quality analyst knows a little bit more than a
Fair.
frontline agent. And this is a controversial perspective, but a frontline agent, right, has their own bias when they deal with that same question every single day. And a quality analyst gets to hear how Nick addresses something, how Vasu addresses someone, and everything along the line. So that quality analyst might say, hey, this is what's happening. This is the conversation. And this is where I've heard it be addressed the best, or this is the technique that does not work and customers don't want to hear. So that's my two
No,
cents.
I absolutely see that, have that point of view as well, where the typical, we started working together a long time ago. We said, Maestro Kid, we're going to help you get rid of spreadsheets. Cool.
Yeah.
And then it was about coaching and engagement. And those things are both important, 100%. But where we are driving our company towards, as well as what we believe is going to be the most strategic area a quality team can have an impact, is all about these insights that they
Yeah.
have, the unique perspective no one else will have. And that's what you're advocating too, that this quality team sees, has an understanding of the customer experience that is so unique in a world where customer experience is queen and king. And people, we see it as we through our customer success conversations, we view part of our role as encouraging and building the confidence to go have those more strategic conversations about insights. And we're skipping steps here a little bit, but that's a little bit of your advice, right, for any quality professional too.
Yeah, I mean, uh, yeah, amplify the voice of the customer as much as possible, and then specifically try to tie it with your teammates and cross departmental teams goals, primary goals. So it's like it's well known that quality is extremely important, but it's not, it's, you have to be pretty proactive with getting your metrics specifically into the conversation. I'm trying to think of an example where, your supply chain or distribution team might have a average delivery time days and goal or something like that. And you might be able to push yourself into the room, kick the door down, and say, "Hey, it looks like people that miss this, when they reach out to us, they get this quality score when we're looking at them in Maestro,
Mhm.
or they explain this particular frustration, or they have this CSAT or whatever it is." And then you can do that over and over again with every team you want to. So you go to the digital product team and you say, when someone has an issue checking out, this is what this quality looks like, and you try to tie it in. So now when they're putting together their roadmap and their priorities, you've already pushed yourself into the door and you're attaching your quality metrics to their goals. So when they see something go up and down, you want to say, well, I'm literally go into their Google Doc and tag them in it and just be like, this is the quality metric that you want to see up and down. Just kick the door open.
Yeah, and I know like Nick and I have an agenda, and I have a bad habit of sometimes skipping steps and just like the third part of the agenda. But just because I saw a segue there, I think for the audience, this is so powerful, and this is what we're encouraging our customers to innovate on. But yes, there's the core quality problem where you want to randomly or the core quality goal where you want to select a random sample of interactions, provide some feedback, get an unbiased set of samples. But
Yeah.
what Nick is also articulating is because we in this room have such a nuanced understanding of the customer experience and customer conversations, whether others like it or not, we get that broad visibility.
Yeah.
Is how do you take advantage of that to help the company and help your own career a little bit further? So if the CSAT team or CSAT, or if NPS is a big goal, how to identify the users that rated a low NPS, look at their recent customer service interactions, and see if there's any insights as to what's driving that low NPS in the customer service interactions. Is that a little bit about what you're speaking to, Nick, or am I mixing words?
No, no, that's right. And that's right with the NPS example. I guess like the TLDR is just get your hard work intertwined into others' hard work. So if someone really cares about NPS on your team, do the very quick and simple analysis of grabbing all of the emails that emailed you in the last 30 days, running it through whatever your NPS check is, and then saying, hey, this sample shows us that NPS from people that talk to us is blank, blank, blank percent blank. And now you've put your like amazing work on that hard quality. I think one of the issues is with quality assurance is like your 100% of your day is on such a small amount of interactions, right? So if you can extrapolate that out to other metrics that the rest of the company cares about and show some correlation, if you're lucky, that's hard, but like then at least you kind of build a scale to your operation and what you're
Yeah,
trying to do.
there's a couple of things. One is if the NPS example specifically, we're trying to make that easier for our customers to take all the low NPS raters or the detractors and
Yeah.
find their interactions and analyze it. So like we'll try to make that easier for you. But the point of what I think is so powerful here is we see so often when we work with our customers and points of contact, quality is doing amazing work, but it's either not aligned with what the overall stakeholders care about the most, or it's just not getting communicated effectively across departments. And part of that is we as a group need to just push and be more proactive. Part of it is people need to recognize it, but we can only control what's within our control. And so Nick's suggestion around again, going to figure out like all just give the insights and the people can choose if they find value in it or not. But you have within your control to pull the conversations, dissect some insights through scorecard in a structured way, and just share it with someone. Send it to their email. You got everyone's email, vasu@meisterqa.com. You can guess it if you can't get in front of the CEO on this. Um, but the point being is you can tap it. You have such gold in front of you. Now let's see if there's ways to leverage that
Yeah.
proactive stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's, I mean, so Isaac, thanks. Isaac just made a quick plug. I know we're getting towards the end of the conversation here. If anyone has any questions that I don't know Vasu can answer and I can pretend to answer, then throw it in the Q&A at the bottom of the Zoom here. I think to the point around um, the two areas, which is not being tied in with someone else's goals or not having visibility, it's like that's that proactive approach to getting and just doing it very well. So um, the sense of scale is a challenge, right? Only 10% of customers are contacting you, and then 1% of that 10% is reaching about this issue. And then you bring that issue to someone and you say, hey, this is great. And they go, yeah, but like, look at this mound of customers that aren't saying that. Then just show up on their project briefs every single time and just give like help their paint the whole picture by providing that quality and doing it very well, even though it might not be enough to move the needle. Like helping painting that picture is my suggestion.
Yeah, like the opportunity to be the voice of the customer, even though people aren't necessarily pulling us there. Like
Yeah.
let's try, if we can push ourselves into those conversations, and the right people will bite hopefully and recognize some of your amazing insights. Is
Yeah.
that something, I guess, to tie it back to your experience? This is something you did.
Yeah. I think part of why yeah, yes, part of the success that I've had moving around the customer experience is pushing you, instead of just reporting out, hey, this is my world, trying to relate how my world connects to your world. So like speaking the same language. I mean, there's a like fundamental understanding that everyone around you has with each other's goals and needs and everything along those lines. But if you can tie it directly together, you're going to have more fruitful conversations with whatever department you're talking to, even if it's your own CX team, even if it's your own operations, like, hey, we want to decrease average handle time on live channels like phone.
Yeah.
And you're like, that doesn't sound good because that feels like we might be trying to get off the phone faster.
Yeah.
And everyone has that gut where they're like, yeah, it doesn't sound good, but does anyone actually know around here? And like
Yes.
that's where you come in and you're like, yes, I know, and let me show you why. Run a test or whatever it is, but like tying that average handle time number to some quality work.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I view a similar point, or I view that similarly as this like enabling this culture of experimentation. A lot of the folks in this room, we work at digitally forward companies. Our companies are moving so fast. There's so much change going on, and what we have the opportunity to do is as pretty much right on the front lines, we can see how a change is even rolled out that's really important to the company and instantly provide feedback on how that's going. So whether it's reducing average handle time, say it's out of your control, people want to do that. Um, say you want to say the company wants to reduce average handle time on live channels. You can then pull the tickets that have low AHT or meet that AHT benchmark, do a quality review on them, and see does it still match our customer experience bar, or are we making sacrifices we don't want to, and at least surface that data to various stakeholders. That's an example of tying to that the operational goals there. We heard this other customer, they were rolling out a new refund policy, I think,
Okay.
and they wanted to A/B test the refund policy. So how are customers responding to that policy change?
Yeah.
And they could start to get learnings instead of in 6 months, they could get learnings in about a week, by reviewing the conversations that had those different policy changes.
Yeah.
And so the message, Nick, tell me if I'm overstepping here, but the message I would love to communicate to folks is you have incredible insights, and hopefully through a combination of partnering with us or whoever you partner with, your own personality, you do the best you can to spread that beautiful voice of the customer internally and align with people's goals. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah. No, that's spot on. And I think the time frame concept you just brought up was pretty smart too, right? So if you are releasing a new product, you're going to need a statistically significant amount of customers that adopt it and use it for a certain amount of time before your insights team might have the capacity to tell you how things are going. But everyone that's worked the last 5 years to create that product is thirsty for something before then. So you get to provide that. You can provide it the day that it's released, and then a week after, and then 2 weeks after. As long as you just caveat, hey, this is one side of the puzzle. Insights is going to come in and cooperate this later. Like we might have some cooperation from the digital product acquisition, from the actual order totals against forecasts and all that stuff like that. But provide your side and provide it with like as much quality as you can.
So one quick trigger point is if you're in a conversation and the room is all about data and you don't hear any customer stories, that's a little indicator that you have great opportunity to interject with some customer experience anecdotes. Um, I want to do one quick section because I see one question from Andrea. If there's not too many more, we can definitely cover that question before we wrap up.
Cool.
But maybe go ahead, Nick. But yeah, let's finish one last section of our agenda, and then we can close out with any question with any time. Close out the remaining time with questions.
Yeah.
So the things we're talking about, Nick, I believe what's exciting is the timing for what we're talking about has never been more relevant. The way the world is starting to evolve, customer service, the industry of customer experience, it's going through a lot of change. It's a huge reason why folks come to us in the same place and why folks continue to partner with us going forward. Can you speak a little bit about, if you think about when you first started at Harry's to now, um, how you've seen customer experience change, how you've seen this culture of innovation versus risk aversion evolve over that time?
Yeah, you mentioned it earlier. I think the testing has been a pretty fascinating innovation. So every single person on this call probably has an SLA for reply time and response and full resolution time in all of their channels. I don't believe that many, but I could be wrong, including myself, have made that based on data or customer voice of customer reactions or whatever. It probably came from someone somewhere was like, you think 3 hours? No, let's go 2 hours because we want to be really, really and like no one's tested any of this. It's just a number. And now, like 7 years later, an emergency happens if you hit 2 hours and 30 minutes and people go, do we need to hire or whatever? And like everyone's running around. So I think like more recently, people are trying to go back and challenge your own assumptions or challenge whoever's assumptions by asking the customers how they feel about it. This is a hard one with reply time. I've done this before, actually. Ask customers, hey, how quickly do you want to get an answer back?
Let's say ASAP.
It wasn't very helpful. So that might be a difficult example, but like asking customers how they feel, testing, hey, what is the quality reaction? What's the CSAT reaction versus blank and blank? And then trying to bring in other sides of other departments. So I think experimentation, approaching it like an A/B test you would do in your digital acquisition team or any of your marketing teams, like they are going to be super great at that controlled testing standard. And you can just bring your problem to them and say, hey, these are the two things I'm trying to do. Poke some holes in this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I absolutely think about the same thing. It's like, who decided this was the right AHT? And maybe I'm biased and I'm cool with that. And I'm cool if everyone here is biased about this too. But I'm like, why don't you review it from a quality point of view and then decide if that's the right AHT or that's the right SLA?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense any other way and in any other way. Every business has different customer needs, different types of expectations. And so you really want to dig into the details to understand that. I
Yeah.
think, and we got some great questions coming in here. So before going into the questions, the thing I would just close out and say, I think the timing for this is better than ever because CEOs and CMOs and whoever is those leadership at your company, they're talking about NPS more than they ever were. They're talking about the customer experience more than ever before. So really, it's on us as a group to start to align what we do more with those initiatives, um, because the people are just so thirsty for that voice of the customer. It's not like they're overwhelmed in that insight. They actually are very much in the dark, from my experience, and let's try and shine some light on it. All
Yeah.
right. We got 9 minutes. Let's go through some of these questions. And some of them are related to our topic, some are a little different. So let's start with Andrea Rodriguez. Hi, Andrea. So the question is, at what point do you switch from doing QA as a supervisor or manager to creating a team dedicated to QA? Is it volume of agents or customer experience goals? Nick, I think we might have differing points of view on this, which is great. So the audience can hear both. Why don't you go first and I'll go second?
All right, cool. So the last part of the question, is it volume of agents or customer experience goals? I would say it's customer experience goals.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's connected to how many agents you have. I think you could have one agent and then have a one professional QA person on your team. And that's basically you saying with the strongest statement possible that quality is our first priority. And we will build a process and we will tell the team there's never not enough work for a QA individual to do. You have plenty of amazing work to do, but it depends on if you're going to do, hey, we're just auditing a few tickets and delivering individual one-on-one coaching. And then the next level, hey, we're auditing a few tickets and we're tying it in with other metrics and we're reporting out to the company and we're driving the voice of the customer and we're delivering coaching. And then it's like, hey, we're turning that into training to be better. So there's always like that level up. I would say, and I've always worked on teams where a supervisor, team leader, whatever, always is very like a strong part of the QA because they're going to be delivering feedback and they know how to deliver effective direct feedback better than a QA analyst most of the time. But there's always going to be a separate function for QA to make sure that that process is like a high level important thing.
Well, I forgot that's why we're on this webinar together, because I was going to say the same thing. But the nuance I'll add is I think the traditional mindset is people do it based on number of agents. But and so that's what traditionally happens. Like, okay, once we're around 25 or 30, we should invest in this dedicated role. But the forward-looking mindset is exactly what Nick said. It's based on customer experience goals. And I would view it as, if you say you wanted to advocate for it sooner than later, you just have to advocate the number of initiatives you can impact positively. Hey, I know that XYZ person said they really want to improve CSAT. Well, why don't we focus on owning the DSAT analysis process? A lot of our customers do that already, but that's a very intentional. We can own that and be the source of insights on what's driving our positive and negative CSAT ratings, because we all know it's not just the agent, it's a ton of cross-functional insights that come out of that. Or I know that we are launching this new partnership with the XYZ, and a lot of those partnership interactions are anything that's going awry with that partnership, which is really critical for us, is going to come in through our support interactions. I would love to analyze XYZ number of conversations, and I can support that partnership goal. So typically it is based on number of agents. That is the traditional mindset. But if we can create a conversation that's about how we can improve the experience and the number of experiences or initiatives we're attaching to, you can advocate for it earlier. Actually, note for Isaac, the guru behind webinars, maybe we do a topic on that. That's a great question and a great question. That's a great question and a great answer, Nick. All right, so we got the next one. Oh, hello, Anna Dang. Anna's our favorite. Sorry, Nick, you're our favorite. Anna's also our favorite from Mail. Hi, Anna. Okay, here's the question. Hey, Nick. Earlier, you mentioned bucketing certain topics to get a better understanding of the quality, like size of sock, delivery time. How do you pull these topics in Maestro, and how do you organize the data for others? It's a good question.
Yeah. So to do the bucket in Maestro, I would do it on like a tag or a root cause. So some unique identifier that you have in your CRM or Zendesk or whatever it could be. And that's the closest you can get. You can do some like text searches or anything along those lines. But to do anything that specific when it's not random anymore, you want to be pretty careful and keep it directionally sensed, in my opinion. So, hey, directionally, all of the most recent contacts we got about our new shirt, we did 50 of them here. And this is directionally what they're telling the quality is, because their customers will sneak in from all different angles and you won't be able to really perfectly quarantine them into one bucket.
Yeah. I would add that that's exactly right. Like the step one is you set up the automation to target the type of interactions you want to surface, whether that's through tags or keyword searching, depending on the issue. Step two is you build a customized, a tailored scorecard for the types of insights that you want to get out of those interactions, like based on what you're trying to learn. And then step three is reporting, and there's a combination of exporting within Maestro or pushing it into your data warehouse. But I think again, that's another great question. And Isaac, let's make a mental note. Maybe we do a topic on that. Sorry about that. That's my nephew.
I
If you
love
can
it.
background. So, okay, Anna, feel free to ask a follow up question, but hopefully that helps get you started. And thank you. Okay, let's see. If our team relies on text expanders or canned responses, is there a better approach to using Maisha that can still capture quality? So you might have better insight into this than Nick. So why don't you go first as to what this individual might mean, and I can take a guess after you.
Okay, let me guess first. So text expanders and canned responses, I think everyone uses some small variation on the spectrum of what that is, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Is there a better approach to using Maestro that can capture quality of, so maybe you're talking about like using the right one to match the right answer, like are they using the right specific one? I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe my gut, if I can cut in there, Nick, would be that if we already have very um, a lot of structure given to the rep, the agent on the response, what's there to maybe do quality review on? That would might be my interpretation. But
Okay.
why don't we go with yours first, and then how you would potentially do a quality review on that, and then I can go if that doesn't.
Yes. So if it was mine and if it was matching the right canned response or text expander to the right question or answer, you can pull the same way we were just pulling, like specifically for socks or whatever, you can pull the same type of contact and your scorecard is just going to be verifying that they're using the right canned response. Or maybe you even add to your scorecard and rubric and in Maestro, like it was the correct response. And then you have some coaching around that. And then Vasu, what was yours?
Well, I think what I would say I agree. There's a verification thing there that makes sense, and maybe what I would try and track though is the customer's response, like, or if there's a CSAT rating related to it, like, is even if we're optimizing for efficiency, how do we capture a sense of insight on the experience that's also being delivered? Or yes, we use the right response. Maybe there's a question of like, we've seen this before? Was the text expander or the canned response that we used actually solving the customer's problem?
Yeah.
Sometimes we've seen those insights come back and result in changes to the templates that you provide reps. So some sense of like success rate or positive impact on the customer.
Yep.
Uh, hopefully that was helpful. All right. How would you suggest dealing with the issues of SMTs? I think we're at that time mark. Or Isaac, how are we doing? Do we have a minute to go over? Oh yeah, not time mark. We got 15 minutes. Perfect. My bad. Okay. How would you suggest dealing with the issues of SMTs viewing AHT/ticket numbers as taking precedence over QA? What is SMTs for at least my education, Nick?
Yeah, someone's gonna have to help me with what SMTs is. I have no idea. It sounds like that might be senior. Sounds like it could be like senior managers of some sort.
Okay.
Pairing. So maybe it's
Yes,
like in
senior
the,
management team.
okay, got it.
What a
Um,
great question.
yeah.
An acronym changes. Yeah, great.
Yeah. So at the point where you're bringing this information to your senior management team, it's super easy for a team to say, hey, 3 hours response time. Like everyone understands what 3 hours is. Like we all have an understanding of that. And like it gets a little bit more difficult when you're like, the failure rate of these are, or the average score of these are, because again, it's not tied to any, it's a little bit more like intangible. I would say you just do the pre-work of connecting that to something that they care even more about than your operational metrics. Operational metrics are super important. We should not throw them out the window. But if you have already established that someone that has a 96% quality or a higher CSAT is connected with someone's NPS or is connected to a repurchase or something along those lines, then you have a little bit more, it's like a little bit more interesting. And then I would also say a lot of, there's going to be one or two individuals in every single team that have a more, especially on the exec team, that have a more heart and gut driven mentality. And if you're not providing the actual voice of the customer with screenshots and calls and quotes and all that stuff like that, you're probably not actually telling the story to those individuals. I know that a lot of us are completely data, but there's a few people that actually do want to hear the story. And that's where I would, pull at the heartstrings.
Yeah, this kind of goes back to why we think the folks in this room we're at a very exciting time is that the SMTs, the senior management team, now more than ever before care about experience. So maybe 20, 30, I don't know how long you go back, you couldn't really go and show the voice of the customer. They'd be like, cool, but look at this data. But these people do care about that a lot more. So I'm trying to think, if this was in my shoes, what I would love someone to show me is, I see this metric. Here's the metric, Vasi, that you care about. But is this the look at the experience we're delivering here? Here's an exact example. Does that actually align with what you want, or should we think about this in a different way, in a more nuanced way? So just showing even a specific conversation or transcript, and for me personally, would go a really long way in terms of uh, helping me get out of just my pure operational numbers mindset. Anything you want to add, Nick?
No, you nailed it.
Awesome. All right, Anna's coming back for round two. So Anna, another question that looks great. So here you go. Nick, you mentioned or kind of hinted that oftentimes quality is not at the forefront of conversations when the big picture is considered. Great question. How difficult was it for you to really advocate and utilize quality at its best? Any specific story you care to share about something you experienced?
So I was fairly lucky compared to most people in my network that I've had conversations with. I think it's like a top-down value that the quality of the customer experience is important. It's even been in my company values multiple times, like for everyone, not just for the customer experience or customer happiness team. So that was pretty helpful. I would say the one thing that has helped a lot with these conversations is establishing a program to bring in executives, but also everyone that onboards in your entire company, to have conversations with customers on a regular basis. It could be fake, it could be shadow, it could be live, it could be program or whatever it is. But like if you can make some sort of connection to make sure people understand like the one-to-one relationship, I think that's going to help. So we did something at Harry's called Customer at the Core, where it was a regular experience or mandatory for new people when they started to come and spend 4 hours talking with customers. We never actually let them loose, but 4 hours talking with customers. So
That's a great example. And even though you've had some good fortune through the cultures that you've been at, I definitely would think that there's still some of these challenges organization of getting what you want prioritized. So maybe there's still levels of how do you get that prioritized. And is there, I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase it. Is there a moment that when you're trying to get, when like a tactical example, you talked about getting on other people's books and being part of other people's conversations, maybe an anecdote of you spotted a meeting and you just hopped in on it and asked if you could join it, and then you observed and decided to contribute to it, or like some because I would imagine it'd be hard for a quality team to create the whole company program. So
Yeah.
is there, and no worries if not, it's a tough question, but if there is anything like that, I'm sure it could be very helpful.
Yeah. I mean, there's one that comes to mind where this was a long time ago. This is when I was a quality analyst, but we were considering doing a very quick promotion for our holiday season to like have a influx of orders, like timeline. It was urgent, everything like that. I do actually remember bursting into the room and being like, we need like my voice in this room right now, because we need to know, like, if we're gonna write up an email right now and no one's gonna QA it, we're gonna send it out, like, this is a different type of QA, but I'm here for this. I would just say, that's good, that's a fun example. we
Nice.
we helped a little bit. There was an It's a long story.
So maybe no, that's a great one in the sense of like, and if it, the way I would tie it to a more general thing is being highly observant as to what's going on at the company, and then figuring out, we all have great relationships internally, so figuring out how we can just be a part of that conversation, and 1% a day, and then we'll get to where we want to go. But it's that, just that proactiveness and whatever initiatives are going, so holiday promotions or different marketing programs that are about to happen. So our companies are all moving so fast, there's always something to potentially contribute on, and little by little. That's my thought. Thank you again for a great question. um we have technically 8 minutes left, but we don't need to fully use it. If there's no more questions coming in, thank you for those who submitted questions. Maybe the last thing I will just uh put a shout out for is, one second, I forgot to change this slide of the Q&A. But for those of you who want to learn a little bit more about how to tie your quality program to customer loyalty, here is a great new piece of content we put out there. And the link, info.mystrictqa.com/customer loyalty ebook. I love getting to say that. I feel like an announcer or something. Um, but please check it out. And maybe that can also stir some ideas that elaborate on some of the concepts we talked about today. Nick, is there anything I think we should wrap up and give people a little bit of a water break. Is there
Yeah.
anything you want to bring up before we wrap up?
No, my boss would say this is the gift of time that we're giving everyone. I appreciate it. I'll post my LinkedIn if anyone wants to connect, but just wanted to say that I appreciate anyone that works in the quality world for customer experience. You are valued and appreciated as an individual. Keep up the good work.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Nick, for taking time, giving us your gift of time, I guess, and really appreciate it and look forward to when we get to link up again in New York City.
Looking forward to it. See you soon.